I don't know where to start with this one. I really don't. Carlton fans, as a collective, how many times have we been here? We've sat through this same nightmare, just hoping that this time it will wake up a little bit differently. Another primetime game, another national embarrassment, and we're sat here again wondering, is it possible to find a new rock bottom in what already feels like a deep Mariana Trench-sized ocean of mediocrity? Let's call it for what it is. This wasn't just a loss. This was the ultimate coach killer. You look up that phrase in the dictionary and there'll be a picture of the Blues wearing white, coming off the ground, patting each other on the back, smirking away, barely raising a whimper until it was too late. In glimpses, they showed some things, but for the majority of the game, this looked like a frustrated, disconsolate Blues playing group that, again, has reached that road of coming to sack a coach. And Carlton have a history of swinging the axe. They've spent years talking about unity, stronger together, building from the ground up, being New Carlton. But this unity is merely an excuse to avoid any form of accountability and any eyes being shown on what is a well-run business department and a poor-run football club. How much more can they expect the fans to give? People who live and breathe for this football club to stomach more mediocrity and more rotten food, all while being told it's the sweetest apple pie they ever will taste. And before we get onto the numbers, before we get told everything is working hard, we'll get after it on Monday, and we'll get into them numbers, we will. Tonight was something bigger than just contested possessions, effort and output. It was a club that has finally, on field and outside, lost its identity. It was a playing group without ticker and a supporter base now that has no hope, patience and, frankly, even faith will be questioned. So let's break it all down. Let's go through the game. Let's look at the stats, the myths, the culture, and maybe what happens next. Because if you think I'm emotional, you're right. But if you think that this is something that we should just sit back and happily applaud off, then you're wrong. Let's walk through it together, hand in hand, like a fan base should do. I'll see you on the other side. Well, let's walk through the game. We suffered, didn't we? Because if you missed it, congratulations. You probably enjoyed your evening a lot more than most of us did. Port Adelaide came out like they'd had 2 laps. Port Adelaide came out like they'd just chugged down 2 mighty Red Bulls and were full of wet rage. The Blues, they had about as much energy as a pensioner at bingo night. 5 goals to zip before you could blink an eye. And I've seen more resistance in the revolving door. Kerno missed, heads dropped. Port, they smelled blood. And this wasn't just about scoreboard pleasure. This was a spiritual belief. Every Port goal chipped away at what little faith Carlton had. And you could almost hear the collective sigh from the fans at the AO. We go again. Now, the Blues, they didn't completely roll over. They tried to show some Fugazi fights, but that was just skirmishes. They literally got found out. There was no scrap, there was no physicality, and let's not even talk about the skills. I have seen more accurate kicking in a Marilyn Manson mosh pit. When we finally did jag a goal, the game was all but over, and the damage is done. The effort was questionable, the belief was nowhere to be seen. The third term, if you're looking for positives, it was probably Port walking the ball out of D50 like they were down Glenelg Beach. Blues, they just pumped it forward, and when they did, Port said cheers. They hit Ratikalia and Elia with incredible consistency our midfield. Saad, he copped a knock, and literally that scuffler up the sideline was probably the only time you could believe these players actually had any care factor. There was no substance, and if you were a new neutral, this was background TV noise. If you're a Carlton fan, this is stress. This is stress. Now, the Worm will say that we won the last quarter. We pulled the margin slightly back, but don't be fooled. They controlled this game, Port. You know, it was almost like when you play FIFA on easy to do some challenges. You put the controller down, you go and have a dart and chat to your wife. That's what it felt like. A couple of late goals, some junk time hustle, and it's another prime time humiliation, another week of being AFL's media punchline. The leaders, where were they? Cripps, he was ill, but he was tagged out of it. Cherry's somewhere on a milk carton. Wheatering clearly struggling. Why did he play? But he was about as useful as one of them wacky waving inflatable tube man. Kerno again missing. And Port's big guns and their leaders stepping up. Rosie, Bergman, Butters doing what stars do. Giving you premiership output for bottom four media level encouragement. They stepped up. They didn't shrink. This was the game. A coach killer, not just on the scoreboard, but emotionally and spiritually. You can lose a game, but when you lose your soul, your desire, that's a bad sign. Now, let's have a real chat about it, because you will have listened to the press conference. You will have heard Carlton enough talk about the stats. We're nearly there. They'll rattle off their inside 50s, their contested possessions, their clearance. But the thing is, numbers lie without context, and at least they tell you the story of what is going on. Carlton may be one of the best contested clearance side. They may be third for forward half intercepts. It sounds good. They're a strong intercept side. They may be one of the best sides from going D50 to I50, but when you're bottom 5 for converting them chances, when you're 18th for converting chances inside 50, this just shows you our transition is a mess. When the opposition is the most vulnerable, we are the most impotent. And that shows you everything about our ball movement at the minute, and also our desire to kill a lame horse. We're just keeping it alive with IV at the minute, and we're trying to tell you that it's all going to be okay. Let's deep down further. We're dead last in the comp for these forward half intercepts into a score. When the team is vulnerable in a turnover league, we are about as threatening as a vegan at a steak buffet. Score efficiency dead last, generating scores per inside 50 dead last. We're statistically the least effective side in the AFL, making our opposition never be punished for any mistakes. I'm not being half, that's data and brutal. We are rudderless, we are toothless in attack. But if you listen to Vossi, it's all good. We're third inside 50s, we're going end to end. Everything looks really good, he says. It's good to watch. The problem is these stats are meaningless if you're not bold enough and you don't do anything with the footy. For a side that has shifted from being lower end tier in kicking in the terms of how often you do, to go into a side that is one of the top 5 most kick-heavy sides, with a team that has the kicking efficiency of Christopher Reeve post the horse accident, says everything about a tactical genius that it is. You are asking these players to do something you know they are incapable of. We are paralysed with fear. We are paralysed with indecision. Half the side want to be safe and half don't even want to be there at the minute, ending up in no man's land every single week. Hopeless kicks to contests, sideways handballs. It's everything but the opposite of being bold. We're not daring, we're not dangerous, we dither. Football without conviction. And don't get me started on the club merchants. Oh, they did this with clearances. Oh, they've got contested ball. Your disposal efficiency is dead last in the league. Your kicking efficiency is horrendous. You are a wasted opportunity stat. That's what it is. This isn't about effort. This is about the simple execution, the system not suiting the personnel, and our putting impotence around the ground. We are obsessed with looking a certain way than actually being what we're talking about. So when you next hear these cliches, building the right habits, remember it means nothing. Today's game is all about the back half and your ability to put it away in the forward line. And Carlton will talk about everything but the killer instinct, the scoreboard. This team is literally built to look tough, but play soft. And that's what's killing us. It's more than the stat sheet. It's an ethos. This effort line doesn't exist in professional sport. It's a non-negotiable. Now let's get philosophical for a second. Why is this? People are like water. You can be as big as the ocean, you can overtake land, but quite simply you always take the form of the container you're in, and it will take the shape of what is given to it. And at Carlton, the container, the environment, the standards, the ecosystem, you will, is warped. This club with all of its glitz, its old money bravado, its history, it's meant to be the biggest, one of the biggest vessels in sport AFL history. It's meant to create champions. Instead, from top to bottom, it is a shortcut for fame and holding your pen for an ego. We dangle and give these players and the board a shortcut to improve your resume by playing at Carlton Football Club, to build your brand. We give you premiership levels of fame, media scrutiny, media noise, and expect wooden spoon output. The messages come to Carlton, you'll be remembered forever. The media will follow, you'll be set up for life. Endorsements, you'll be a celebrity. Give us 6 months and we will treat you like kings of the castle. The problem is these results are always at the bottom end of the tier. We sell a dream and live the nightmare. The ecosystem is built at Carlton Football Club at the minute for self-promotion, self-preservance, not self-sacrifice. Playing for Carlton is just a blue tick on Twitter, a blue tick on Instagram. It's the highlight. Regardless of whether you deliver or not, it's not about what you give, it's about merely what you can take out of it. And that goes to the players. You can't blame them when your ecosystem is festering with fame and fortune without any input deserving of it. It happens, and every time there's a shake-up, it's the same bloke, different tie, who wants to build their personal brand, treat the club like a business. Being a Carlton power broker isn't a success anymore. It's about building acumen. It's a LinkedIn flex, a free ticket to the Melbourne set. They build a container that is about extracting value from the club, its name, its history, its brand, its fan base, rather than pouring value back into it. It isn't a surprise that players do the same. You eventually reflect the culture in which you live in. So what happens? The playing group, the water, takes the shape of this leaky, self-serving vessel. Why bleed for the jumper when the jumper is merely a stepping stone for great fortune? You want to see why we panic? Why there's selfishness? Why there's a lack of boldness? Why there's no unity when there's pressure on? It's because the container rewards me first, over us always. It's rewarding noise. It doesn't reward substance. And the end result, the talent stagnates. The resources, they are there in abundance, but the culture turns the best oceans into mere puddles. The shape is wrong, so the water is just stagnant. The club doesn't need branding workshops, podcasts. It needs a proper container, one that's built on sacrifice, humility, and incredibly elite high standards that give the history of this club the respect it deserves. A culture that shapes waters into an ever-growing tidal wave of success, not a trickle. Until we fix the container, we'll keep getting the same empty, leaky results. No matter how much water you pour in, it's always going to go down the drain. Let's stop pretending we need a board spill. If the board truly cared about this club, not just their own seats and their little soppy LinkedIn posts, then every single one of them would tender their resignation this week, along with the coaching group, along with the backroom staff. And Graham Wright coming in as the CEO, his job, let's be real, is to put this plan down from a football perspective and everyone around him re-nominate and ask the fan base, are you ready to back this plan in and who do you want to take the reins? And the board should agree, because the future of this football club is in the members' hands. It's up to us to pick the right people to lead the ship, who will be custodians of something that means so much more than just a win-loss column. And as for Voss, he has to go. I've been saying it since the finals last year. He's lost this group now. He's lost the players. You never get that back. But let's not kid ourselves. This is just the tip of the iceberg. This is an archaic brand of football that won't work in today's game. But this is the third coach that has lost the playing group. This is not just a coaching problem. This is not just a development problem. This is a rotten culture problem. A club that would rather cut off its tail than the head of the hissing serpent that is the rotten core of the self-serving Carlton Football Club. Until we stop pretending to be the face, we will not fix everything. We keep watching the same story repeat itself. On field, the answers are right in front of us. They need running halfbacks. They need elite kicks. They need to have some change up in that midfield. They need a proper target in the forward line, not just accumulators, go-doers. That's what they need. It's time to bring in a new wave and knock this old hit on the head. If you keep picking the same types, you will get the same results. Development is crisis. I have the privilege of watching most of these draftees for a long time. And all I see now is all the spark that made them draftable is now stagnated. That creativity, that panache isn't there. But that working hard, the two-way running, the effort, that has been the defensive growth. The boring part of football is there. That's not development, that's suppression. Modern-day football is flair. So where to from here? Well, in summary, bored out. The CEO in control with visions that members can actually own and relate to. A new coach, but more importantly, new standards across the board. A football-first list with a football-first mentality. Development that creates stars, not compliant robots. And all above, something that gives the fans back that jumper, not takes from it. Because if we don't start now, and I mean now, not in the off-season, it needs to be start building now. This is 15 years of festering that needs removing. There's only so many times you can sell hope before people stop buying it. Look, Blues fans, I get it. It's exhausting and it's humiliating, and I feel for you. But every time you start to believe, the shackles are whacked and you're put back in the dungeon of you're a bad person for even dare questioning this club. So if you're feeling angry, gutted and numb, I hear you, because that is it. That's the passion, the drive that makes you support this great club. I'll keep showing up. I'll keep calling as it is. And I know you guys and girls will. But we deserve better, and this football club deserves better. You know, I hate history and I hate talking about it. But you always have to honour it. And currently, we are not honouring it. So let me know in the comments, what would you do if you were the CEO for the day? I want to hear you. Let's have an honest chat. I hope you enjoyed this fan therapy. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks for supporting me. You were wonderful last night. Thank you so much. You're like a family to me. And this club is so much more important than these idiots that are there at the minute. Please like and subscribe. I'll always be here on this emotional roller coaster with you. See you for the next one. Can't wait to join you tonight to watch the Sydney Swans. That should be good. Peace, love and light. Look after yourselves. Pom out.